Hey everyone, Boardgame Brody here with Meeple Mountain. I have a prototype copy of Blooming Industry. It's a tile placement, pick up and deliver game by Hillgoat Games. And before we begin, I'd like to ask you if you would like this video and more importantly, subscribe to the channel. It's something super easy for you to do and it really helps us out. And thank you so much for doing so. So in Blooming Industry, you are trying to build up tulip farms and canal routes to harvest your tulips and transport and sell them when the prices are high. Tulip prices decrease as the tulips of the same color are sold. The game is set up with different setups depending on how many players that you have in the game. But either way, you will each place your starting tile 3 or 2 spaces away from the market tile, which is in the middle at the beginning of the game. Players will have 3 starting tiles, and those tiles have to be placed so that the tiles are next to their dock, the starting card, or next to one of their previously placed tiles. Tiles always have to be placed so that either the canal is connected or that there is a tulip field of the matching color adjacent to where you place that new tile. Players will want to both form a canal system that moves toward the market, but also forming farms by connecting 3 tiles together that connect the same color of field. So in the game, players take turns, and on a turn, a player can perform 2 of any of the 4 actions in any order, but they cannot repeat the same action twice. So let's go over these 4 actions. First, you can sow. When sowing, you'll be seeding or reseeding, which I will explain the difference of here in a little bit. They're pretty similar actions, but when sowing or seeding, you will choose one of the field tiles from the reserve, or you can take the top tile on the stack and place it in connection with another tile that is laid out already. When performing this action, if all tiles in the reserve are the same canal routes, then you can discard them all and draw out 3 new ones and choose from one of those. Again, when placing a tile, there must be at least one spot where either a matching tulip field is adjacent to that tile, or the canal is connected from surrounding tiles. You can place your tile anywhere except for adjacent to another player's dock. And a tile placed beside the market must connect to the market's canal system, no matter what. Whenever 3 or more tiles with matching fields are connected, matching fields as in their color, it becomes a farm. Each color has its own symbol to help colorblind players, so each field has a symbol as well, but it also is a place where you will place tulips on. To reseed, you can almost do the same thing, but you'll take a field tile from the reserve and the same rules apply, but instead of placing the tile on the new slot, you will cover up a tile that's already placed out. The tile just needs to match at least one color of that tile that it's being placed on, and it must never sever any canal routes that the underneath tile had. And if you place a tile on top of another tile that has a tulip on it, that tulip is returned to the supply. And you cannot stack a tile onto another tile that has a boat, a farmer, or a windmill. The second action is to harvest. And with this action, you will take your farmer and place it on a farm. And then you'll take a matching color tulip and place it on the tile in the farm where your new farmer was placed at. You now own that farm, and there is only one farmer allowed on each farm and one farmer allowed per tile. The third action is to build. To do this action, you will take a windmill from the supply and place it on a tile that has a windmill picture on it. Now, when any player's boat moves onto a tile with a windmill, that boat will immediately move to the next tile. So windmills cause boats to move faster. Windmills just can't be on tiles that are directly beside tiles with windmills already on them. The fourth and last action is the transport action. And with this action, you can move up to 3 boats, 1 tile per boat, following the connected routes of the canal. Whenever a boat passes through a tile that has a tulip, that player may choose to pick up that tulip and place it on their boat. Boats can only hold 1 tulip, but you can later decide to return a tulip from your boat to the supply to pick up another tulip. Boats can be moved backwards or along the canal in any direction if there is a route for it, and there is only 1 boat allowed on a tile at a time. Whenever a boat reaches the market, the player will drop off the tulip and take the top token from the pile matching that tulip color. The boat is placed back on your dock tile, and the tulip is returned back to the supply. This is the main way that you gain points, deliver tulips to the market. The game ends when either there are 3 tulip tokens piles left or when the last tile has been drawn from the stack. Final scoring is then performed, and players will add up all the values of their tulip point tokens, and then players will gain 1 point for each tulip that they have on their boats or in their farms. Lastly, the player with the biggest farm using the most number of tiles will gain the largest farm token, which is worth 5 points. The player then with the most points wins the game. And, well, that's blooming industry. A huge part of the game is determining the best place to place tiles, as they will form your canal routes and they will form your farms that create tulips. Players want to focus on specific colors to be the first to gain the tulip tokens, as they are worth the most points. And as the game continues, players can change their tiles to make farms of other colors that still have tokens of high value. Players also will need to manage their routes and farms, because having a farm far away will just cause a player to use many turns to move their boat from that farm to go to the market. And it would be more efficient to have a smaller route so it doesn't take so many turns to get to the market. So reseeding can be a huge way to change your close farms to other colors over and over again, just because the movement of those boats is much more efficient. The game knows that moving can take forever, so they gave us windmills to give us movement and extra lift. This can help, especially if a player can plan a good route with lots of windmills, but that isn't ever a guarantee in this game. I like what the game has with it, everything except for the initial setup, that is, as it seems a little more complicated due to so many different setups for different player counts. And I understand the reason for it is probably to have a more balanced game and an even game, but making a universal setup to work for all player counts, I think would be the best, even if that means that the market is composed of like a 4 tile board or a 9 tiles to help seed the table with some tiles. And this would also help players to start the game with more of a plan or a strategy, as they can lay out their starting tiles in a way that will soon be able to take advantage of those other tiles that are surrounding the market. Anyways, I like that players will continue to reform their routes and connect more and more farms and send out boats to the market. Players will find opportunities when new tiles come to the reserve. This might be because of a certain color of field or from a pattern from a canal, or even both of those. Changing one tile to make a new farm can drastically help a player, again, gain points more than what they would if they just kept the same color. I have the prototype here with me, but the final version looks to have some fun components to it, better incorporate the theme, and I think it's a fun theme to go with this game. And the game isn't too simplistic nor too complicated. This is a game that I will be playing with my wife and kids mostly, but would still be able to play it with my friends that don't play a lot of games, as there are only 4 actions that you can do, and players can pick up those ideas pretty quick and get into the game. So deliver tulips to the market with your family and friends in Blooming Industries by Hillgoat Games. Again, this is Boardgame Brody, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table.